The offenders in this unit are locked down for 23 hours a day. And when they're allowed out for their 60-minute break, they're kept apart in individual steel cages. One of the men is 38-year-old Ronald L. Sanford. By any measure, and in any prison community, his is an exceptional story. When did you come here to Indiana State Prison?
Oh, well, I came here in 1989 at the age of 15 years old. I was actually convicted of the crime that I'm here for at the age of 13 years old.
And what was the crime?
Double homicide. So I committed a double homicide at the age of 13 years old. At the age of 15, my case had ran its course through the court, and I was sitting here to this prison in 1989.
A double homicide?
Yes, sir.
At the age of 13?
13, yes, sir.
That's very, very young.
It's tragic, to say the least, and it is very young, absolutely. It's unheard of, you know. Wow. It's unspeakable, to say the least. Even reflecting on it almost 25 years later. In August, it'll be 25 years since that crime took place. It's still very vivid, it's still very poignant, it still resonates, and it still has the same amount of tragic elements involved in it now as it did then, and it will always be with me for the rest of my life. I always say it's like an albatross around my neck. No matter where I go or what I do for the rest of my life, it'll always be with me.
What were the circumstances which led up to the incident which led you in prison at the age of 15?
Me and a friend had basically planned to get money to go to a fair, and to do so we're going to cut grass, and we went to a home basically, and they said they didn't want their grass cut, and rather than continue on the vein and go to the next home, we decided to push into the home essentially, and it ended in a double homicide. It's that simple. And for our complicity in that crime, I was sentenced to 170 years, 170.
You got a sentence of 170 years.
Yes, sir.
However you cut that, you are not going to get out of here.
I'm eligible for parole when I turn 100 years old.
Have you ever thought about all the things that you have missed that other 15-year-olds go through as part of their normal lives?
Absolutely. I've never been to the prom, I've never driven a car, I've never had a driver's license, I've never filed tax returns, I've never been on an airplane, I've never traveled abroad. Yeah, should I continue? My life has been lived in this prison, and it seems as though I've been in this prison so long that I've never been free. 25 years in prison, you know, it's a long time.
Especially when you come in at the age of 15.
Yeah, really.
Ariel, thank you so much for talking to me. Thank you for taking the time.
I appreciate you.
My first meeting with Sanford was a shock, but there were more disturbing cases at Indiana State Prison.
Back down 200. Camera crew on 200. Camera crew.
I went back to the administrative segregation unit to see Ronald L. Sanford again. His story haunted me, a killer when he'd barely entered his teens. RL, hi. How you doing?
I'm all right, yourself?
Good. How do you get accustomed to life in this environment?
It takes some getting used to. It's tough. There was a young man on the range, there was a very young man, maybe 19, 20 years old. He's exhibiting psychosis, and they took him to see the psychologist because he's having trouble adapting. This is an abnormal environment for a human being, certainly. You know, these are essentially cages, and to think that we stay in them 24 hours, 23 hours a day, come out for an hour a day, it's taxing.
May I have a look in your cell about
Absolutely.
to have a look at some of the books?
Absolutely. You absolutely may. So.
Yes, Lieutenant, would you mind opening up? I'd just like to have a look.
Yes, sir. You can take whatever down you want to take down.
And War Against the Weak, what's that about?
Eugenics.
Eugenics?
Yes, sir. America's attempt to make a master race, essentially.
And this one is the Tree of Life. What that's about?
Yes, it's Kabbalah, actually. It's more metaphysics, essentially. Those deep questions about man, where he comes from, where we're going, and who we are, essentially, yes.
I see that you have, in addition to your books, you have some of your own writing on the walls here. Strength, well-being, and health.
Yes. Just something I try to focus on. If there's anything I want to stay my mind on, as I always say, it's something progressive. So being strong and having a good disposition and being in good health are certain things I definitely want to focus on.
And you have written here, no man is your enemy, no man is your friend, every man is your teacher.
Yes, sir.
I'm also standing here, and I think these are the parameters of your existence.
Existence, absolutely. These four walls.
It's a pretty isolating place.
It really is, if you see it as such. It's isolated only to the extent that you think it is. You know, I mean, those books allow for a great escape and for to be able to leave the confines of the wall. So.
But I'm only in here for a few minutes, and I feel it as such. I feel it. I feel the isolation.
Everybody in this building feels the confinement that we're suffering here. You know, you put an animal in a cage for too great of a length of a time, it goes crazy. You know, how much more so humans? You know, so.
This is what Sanford looked like when he came here at the tender age of 15. His murder of 2 elderly women in 1987 netted him the meager sum of $5. On that vile act, he must reflect for the rest of his life. Many of the offenders here, gang members and drug dealers, are skilled at playing the system. But what must it be like to be sent here at the age of 15? That's what happened to Ronald Sanford. I clearly remember our first meeting 5 years ago.
I've never been to the prom, I've never driven a car, I've never had a driver's license, I've never filed tax returns, I've never been on an airplane, I've never traveled abroad. Should I continue? My life has been lived in this prison, and it seems as though I've been in this prison so long that I've never been free.
What shocked me then, and still does, is how at the age of 13, he killed 2 people. Excuse me? I headed off to see a prisoner who may well have faced the death penalty had he not been a child when he killed 2 people. Instead, Ronald Sanford is serving a sentence of 170 years. Mr. Sanford.
Good afternoon.
I still see you have all your books.
Well, I have some of them.
Yeah.
Reading is my livelihood for the most part, you know. It's something to put your mind to, you know. So to read and write, you know, you have to apply yourself. You can lay down and watch TV all day. And that's how you be.
I remember you had all these
sayings, yes.
sayings on
right
your
here, sir.
And
This is Nelson Mandela's cell.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yes, sir.
From Robben Island.
Madiba, yes.
He spent 26 years on Robben Island. Hero of yours.
Yeah.
I did the first interview when he came out from Robben Island. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Grab a chair. Yeah. Have a seat.
Yeah. I find it extremely difficult to imagine you're coming into this prison at the tender age of 15.
20, 30, 40, all in prison. Yes, sir.
Do you reflect on the event that got you here, the crime that got you here?
I think about my crime every day in some manner. It's unshakable. You'll never get away from it. And I think about it all the time. You know, I don't talk about it because I don't talk about it.
5 years ago, he explained to me how he came to murder 2 of his neighbors.
Me and a friend had basically planned to get money to go to a fair. And to do so, we're gonna cut grass. And we went to a home basically, and they said they didn't want their grass cut. And rather than continue on the vein and go to the next home, we decided to push into the home, essentially.
Ronald Sanford was 13 years old in 1987. Police say Sanford tortured, beat, and then brutally stabbed 83-year-old Anna Harris and 87-year-old Julia Belmar countless times. Tonight, the deputy prosecutor said Sanford's lengthy criminal record indicates he's beyond rehabilitation.
I take the point that you don't talk about it very much, but what happened to you that day?
I was actually home alone. My mom had actually left me and went out of town with her boyfriend and left me home alone that day.
And?
The crime happened.
You say your mother had been out of town with her boyfriend. Do you in any way blame her absence?
No, I don't blame my mom.
Yeah.
My mom did the best she could, you know, with what she had to raise her children, you know. My mom was an alcoholic on welfare, you know. She had many suitors. She was violent in her parenting, you know, and she used the tools that she had as a parent. And I really feel that I was trained to kill.
You think you were trained to kill?
Yes, sir.
How so?
My mother was a very violent person.
How does that transfer from
Right.
the mother's behavior
To a double homicide.
to a 13-year-old
Yeah.
and a double homicide?
It's easy to get to the violence if you've already been in the gas, you know, you've been in the violence. It's easy to be violent. Children become what they see. They mimic the examples that they follow. Often, my mother was fond of saying, you do what I do, you do what I say, and not what I do. Well, you should tell your child, you do what I say and you do what I do, because I don't think you would want your child to see you do some stuff that you wouldn't want them to mimic.
How's your mother doing now?
Yeah. My mother, of course, has gotten older, you know, and she's thankfully well. Over the years, my mom has been the person who has been there for me. And in fact, my mom is due to visit here tomorrow. You know, she I can't wait to see my mom.
Listen, you've always been terribly good and frank with us. Thank you so much for talking to me.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trevor.
Thank you.
See you again, Sir Trevor. Outside of the place. It's good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Oh, wow.
My visit to this prison was nearly at an end. The 5-week lockdown played havoc with prison routine and family visits. Now that it's been lifted, Ronald Sanford can see his mother, Pamela, again. She was only a limited presence in his childhood, but for some 28 years, she's been his only regular visitor.
Ronald.
Good afternoon. How are you? Again.
All right, I'm gonna come around in front.
Your mother, does she talk a lot about her life when she comes to see you like this?
Well, we just talk about general stuff. My mom made a change in her life in the 90s. She used to be alcoholic. She hasn't had a drink since 92. She's a different person now than she was when she was raising me.
Yes.
And she's a parent. To see where my mom came from, to see who she is now, it's just, oh, man, I couldn't be more proud of her.
And you gotta put your shoes on.
Sanford's mother was in court that day to hear her 15-year-old son sentenced to 170 years.
That's my kid, and I don't think it's right. That's it.
What subjects do you avoid talking about when you see your son?
The murder itself. Why did it occur? And we never talk about that.
Ronald said to us he thinks of his early life as having been a training for murder. It's an extraordinary thing to say.
Wow. I've never heard that
No.
before. And I imagine if that's the way he felt, then that's what it was. I didn't see that.
No.
Of course, you know, even the night that the murder occurred, we sat, myself and him, we sat on the back of my Cadillac and watched the forensic people and everybody bring the bodies out and everything, because it was next door to where we lived. And I looked at him, and there was nothing there that made me know that he was the one. Nothing. So I had no clue ever that, you know, my lifestyle trained him up to be a murderer. I never knew that. Never thought that.
The shock of hearing that your son had been sentenced to a prison term of 170 years must have been immense.
I was crying so bad. It's like a horrible rainstorm when the rain is coming down so hard you can't see, you have to pull over. That's how my tears were. It was hard, very hard.
Such a sentence must lead you to think that you may never see him outside again.
I used to think that, yes. But now I don't think that. No. I've prayed and asked the Lord to bring him out of here. So he's coming. He's coming home real soon.
Mama.
A sentence of such length would probably not be given today. Recently, the U.S. Supreme Court compelled states like Indiana to decide whether it's right to punish juveniles as though they were adults.
Okay, so where'd you get the hair from?
I said I wasn't gonna cut my hair until I got out of prison.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, it's gonna still be short, because it ain't gonna be long.
That means for those like Sanford, who were mere children when they committed murder, they may one day be freed.
I love you, I love you, I love you.